Let's talk about insecure data storage. Why is it important for pen testers to look into this? And obviously, we'll follow up with a practical session and the mitigation part. Tarak.
Yes, surely. So first of all, before we get into insecure data storage, understand what happens in Android OS. So what's happening is the data is being saved in either shared preferences, external storage, internal storage, or databases. So if the data is actually being stored in the shared preferences folder, and again, if it's not encrypted, it's an issue. So this is very common in pen test that even I have tried and we get it a number of times, because see, the application, what it does is it has to save all of the data at some place. But there are a lot of developers and these applications, they save it in the shared preferences folder. And now I'm just going to give you an overview of the directory structure as well, and using ADB to actually get through these directories. Again, methods to exploit ADB again. So it's just Android debug bridge, and simple words, we are going to use it as a communication interface between the application and your Kali machine. So it's more of getting into the phone's device structure and understanding where the data is actually being saved. Before we get into the practical, let me just tell you one thing. Please do understand that all of these videos and practicals are made for educational purposes. Please do not try this at your home, organization, or work, because in case you get into any issues, Redfox Security is not responsible for it. Yes. Okay, so by this time we have already entered our credentials, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use ADB shell. Now ADB shell is actually to get into your phone. So I'm going to run it as a root user, and I'm going to change the directory to data/data. So now what's going to happen is that all of the package names that are being run in the Android device are going to be displayed. Now again, while pen testing, this is a very important part, because you need to know what package name is being used. We already did it in the static analysis part again, but while searching for data storage, this is always a good practice to do in the first place. So we just search for the package name that our application has, which is com.android.insecurebank version 2. So now we are going inside the application. So same thing, we are going to just change our directory to the package name. Now you can see that there are a number of things that are being displayed in front of you inside the application, that is cache, code cache, database, and shared preferences. So again, I had already given a kind of a spoiler in the theoretical part. That now let's just traverse into the shared preferences folder and check any sensitive information is being stored there. Okay, so we have two files, and that is com.android, and the second one is my shared preferences.xml. Let's just try to cat it and see what exactly is happening. Okay, so here's the thing. So by looking at the video, you can see that the application was storing the password and the username in the shared preferences folder. Okay, so by this time we have seen that we had the username and the password that is being stored in the shared preferences folder. So the vulnerability we're talking about was insecure data storage again. So it's not a good practice, but there's one good thing that has been done, by there's some kind of encryption that is being applied to the username and the password. So, but as you can see, if you closely look at it, the first password, it looks like an AI string that is being used. Now, as a pen tester, a lot of time I have seen people, they kind of neglect the static analysis part because it's a bit tiring, because you need to go through all of the source.
Boring.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So a lot of people do neglect it. But again, I'm just going to tell you why static analysis is important, because even in pen test, it's always important to understand how the application works by reading through the source code and then trying to exploit all of these vulnerabilities. So let's just hop into our Jadex GUI again. And you can see that there are a number of classes. Let's go to a class named crypto class. Again, in a real world application, things would be different. This is a vulnerable application. This is just getting you to understand all of how all of this stuff works. And now you can see that the developer has actually stored the key that is being used in order to encrypt the data. This is a super secret key. Well, as funny as it sounds, there are times when developers actually hard code stuff like that. So we are just going to copy this, and then there's just a lot of tools that are available online for decoding AES stuff, AES encrypted stuff. So I'm just going to hop onto one of them. I'm going to copy the string. I'm going to paste it. 256 key size again, and then I'm going to enter the super secret key that I actually got from the source code. Now if I click on decrypt, you can see that now I actually got the password that was being, so the application did two mistakes. First, it actually stored the data in the shared preferences folder. So that was related to insecure data storage. Again, second thing what they did was they used weak encryption practices, but they really did a good work with the AES encryption, but they actually gave away the key. So that was the issue. And yes, we'll get into the username part, because that actually is being encrypted in base64 format. So you copy the string, you go to this site that's base64decoder.org. You can also use burp suite for that, it's fine, as per your convenience. We are going to get into burp suite in the next vulnerability. So you can see that the username is actually visible, that is Dinesh. So I just copied an extra string over there, so it's fine, yeah. Now you can see that the username is Dinesh and the password was Dinesh@123. So that is how things are being weakly. So again, you are a consumer, you are doing your work, but again, it's the part of the developer needs to know all of these things, and then you have to make sure that the best practices are actually being implemented. Again, we move on to the encryption part again. So again, mitigation part, I'm so sorry. So first is always encrypt all of the sensitive data before storing it on the device. Then again, secondly, it's like use AES encryption with a secure key, and again, don't give away the key in a hard-coded way. So, and the next thing is, preferably do not try to store it, because as you could see, it was so easily accessible via the directory structure that is being offered in Android. So the best way to do is actually store it in a SQL database, and again, making it more harder for the attackers in order to get into the username passwords of users.